Welcome into the latest edition of ESPN FC Live. It's just myself, Kay Murray, and Janusz Michallik today, which is great because we've actually got loads to talk about. Janusz, we're going to look back on that Champions League draw. We want to talk about Endrick, who's already been to meet his new Real Madrid teammates, and of course, PL Express as always. But let's start with the Champions League draw and your overall thoughts, because some were saying they feel as though it was a little bit underwhelming, but are they missing some key matchups here and some more interesting pointers?
Yeah, pretty straightforward, isn't it? I think if you look at it, the favorites, I suppose, avoided big matches. Where I guess we're looking at Inter Atletico because Inter finished second. That's one thing that I think everybody was worried. So maybe that's the toughest matchup when you look at everything else. For the most part, really, I know that Napoli against Barcelona sounds great on paper. It may very well be, but obviously this is not the Napoli from last season when they won the Scudetto in an incredible fashion. That can change. Let's not forget that the teams that were picked out of the baskets here, or the pots, if you will, are not going to be the same teams when we resume this competition in February. Form, obviously, injuries, suspensions, and the transfer window can very much change things. But for the most part, I can understand why it's underwhelming because I don't know if there's going to be many surprises. Maybe one at most.
All right, so we're going to go through them one by one. Obviously, as you said, things can change before then. But when we're just looking at them now, we want to ask you who you think is going to go through on each one and a quick why. So Porto against Arsenal.
Porto against Arsenal. Arsenal, you know that I always, for the most part, like teams that have the second leg at home. I think it is important, always in the back of your mind, that you can make up the difference should you need it, and if you get a good result away, even more so as well. So Porto notoriously comes out and then doesn't really do anything. A little bit better this season than the season before, I suppose. But Arsenal, for me, are overwhelming favorites. They'll get through. Napoli against Barcelona. Pick your poison. Neither team is doing very, very well, but I think that Barcelona obviously has way more talent, I suppose. Osimhen is back. I think he's a great player. Let's hope he's going to be there. I think he's going to be there. But anyway, Barcelona is going to be too much. PSG against Real Sociedad.
You think this version of Barcelona is going to be too much for Napoli?
Yeah, any version of Barcelona, K, is going to be too much for Napoli.
We've seen that Napoli can actually give teams a go as well. We've seen price teams, and honestly, this Barcelona side right now are not that convincing, are they?
They are not. As I've said, we have 2 months. Things will change. I think some of the injuries are going to solidify. I think players are going to get back. I don't expect Barcelona to change much in the transfer window because we know they don't have money. Osimhen is a little bit better. Kvaratskhelia is still not the same player. So look, I think that there's going to be tight. It's going to be interesting, perhaps, in both legs because both teams like to play. But again, this is a different Napoli. Just the fact that Spalletti's in there, watching Napoli in Serie A right now, this is not the same team. It struggled much. I'll wait and see because Osimhen's been missing and already showing class coming back. We saw that. I think it was the last game, wasn't it, Udinese?
Yeah. Sheet for that game.
So obviously, I mean, he's quality, but I think Barcelona, when you look at them, they have been so underwhelming with so much talent still on that team. I truly believe in that, and I think they'll take care of business there.
All right, so let's continue to go through it. PSG against Real Sociedad. Interesting from our Jules Laurent, who's obviously a big PSG fan. He feels of all the Spanish teams, this was the worst one that PSG could get because of the way they play. They've obviously got the press. They play very intense style of football. And he fears for his PSG side. Do you?
A little bit. Yeah, the worst one they had in the group stage was Inter. So they knew they weren't going to get them back here. You hope, because, Real Sociedad will have the ball. They can hurt you, obviously. I think even against a team like PSG. So this one is tight. That's where my surprise may or may not come in. We'll see. But I can see that because I still think that Luis Enrique is building that side. Of course, we know the quality of, Kylian Mbappe, Kolo Muani. So there, Zaire Emery. Just so many good players there. But I fear it's not a team just yet. And the one thing that we can and have to say about Real Sociedad, that they fear no one. And surely they are a big team, right? They understand each other. They know how to play. They enjoy playing together, and they have the capability of taking the ball away from you. So even against a massive team like PSG, having the second leg at home, PSG better get the result at home. When I say comfortable, at least 2-0. Otherwise, I think they're going to be in trouble.
So if you had to say it now, though, just PSG or La Real, who would you say?
I'm going to go with a surprise here. I'm going to go with Real Sociedad.
Now, Inter against Atleti is the one that stands out because obviously Inter are last year's beaten finalists. They won the competition in 2010. We've seen Atleti go to the final themselves in 2014 and 2016. This is very interesting. No doubt will divide opinion among football fans on who's going to go through. Who have you got?
I have Inter. It's last year they were good for me. This year, I think they may have a chance to get to the final again. This is the one where obviously second leg is away, but Inter won't care. They play the same home or away. They know how to suffer if they need me. They're very well balanced team, top of Serie A. Atleti's not doing well. And look, these are two teams that are associated with defensive football. But look at this. They have arguably 4 of the best strikers in Europe. When I say best, I mean really in form. Morata, 13 goals. Griezmann, 14. Absolutely outstanding. But then you have Lautaro Martinez with 17. And even Marcus Thuram, who came in, has got 7. Only 1 in Champions League. But I think he's deputizing. I don't even want to say deputizing. He's doing well in the absence of this one striker that went to Roma. What was his name? Romelu Lukaku. He's the king of Europa League, though. Look, I'm with Inter. Deep, quality. A team that's made for tournaments, 2-legged affairs like this. I think they'll negotiate their way through.
Yeah, I can't wait for that one. PSV against Dortmund is another one where this really could go either way, as is case at most of this stage, because it's really hard to know what you're going to get from Dortmund this season. This is the one area where they've been really strong. Obviously, they topped their group in the Champions League, but they've not been doing what they should in the Bundesliga this season. So, who are you going for?
Coin flip here, isn't it? Part of me being on this side, number of U.S. men's national team players, led, of course, Ernie Stewart in the front office. So part of me wants them to go. There is a player on Dortmund, Gio Reyna as well. Look, I mean, they're good in the Champions League. Even if they're not good in the league over the years, they have that experience. They have a couple massive players in terms of experience, Zula or Hummels, just to name that, Marco Reus. I think because in a way, I mean, the Bundesliga has slipped away from them. This is going to be a priority for them. And again, I think it's a coin flip, but Dortmund will find a way past PSV. But this is going to be a very tight one, and this could go the other way.
No, it's not last season's Lazio, that's for sure. They're up against Bayern Munich. Is it as straightforward as Bayern Munich marching on?
I just don't have any arguments for Lazio. We just saw what Inter did there, and almost way too easy. And so Maurizio Sarri, who knows if he's still going to be in charge when it comes to that. Thomas Tuchel, not exactly all that comfortable as well, but Bayern are Bayern, and they will find a way, and I don't see any problems there.
Copenhagen against Manchester City and Leipzig against Real Madrid. Now, I'm just going to ask you those two together because I want to know if you do see City and Real Madrid going through.
Yes, and I don't even know how many arguments I have to give for City. Copenhagen is a Cinderella story, Kay, and I love them. And certainly at home with this wonderful crowd that they have, they could cause a surprise, but the defending champions will prevail.
So because I've put them together because obviously they are the defending champions. Real Madrid are the record champions in the Champions League. Who have you got going further this season?
Oh, those two have to meet like they normally do. I've mentioned Inter, but look what Real are doing without some key players. They've lost David Alaba. But who's going to go further?
Really?
Do you have to? I mean, it's too early. I want to see Real Madrid players coming back. I mean, look, Real Madrid are always for real in this competition. And I just see something that I still think a lot of people are questioning what's happening at Real Madrid. And I think it's unbelievable. And part of that is maybe because this number 9, although
questioning how it's happening. how they're still continuing to have the success they are so far? Or
that part is incredible because everybody's contributing in so many ways that I don't think anybody expected. It's easy to go to Jude Bellingham. Obviously, nobody thought that a player as young as that is going to come into this team and do what he does. I don't know if this is going to happen again, although there's a player that we're going to talk about shortly who may change that because he's that talented. But, you know, look at Rodrigo. Look what he's doing. I mean, there's still no Vinny Jr. That midfield, so many injuries, older, experienced players helping the younger ones like Camavinga, Tchouaméni. Of course, I'm talking about Luka Modric. I mean, Luka Modric's experience in that dressing room and maybe that one game or maybe that one substitution somewhere. And Toni Kroos, who's found himself playing more central, and he looks almost as if he's 22 years old because he was stuck on that left-hand side in the past. Look, there's some issues because the injury to Alaba is significant, right? And they may have to do something in the transfer window there, I suppose, because without Militao, he's going to be back. But when and how, who knows? But I just think that Real Madrid you're going to have to go through it. So I think it's either Manchester City, Real Madrid final, or in the semifinal, Manchester City will have to deal with them. And at this stage, I'm not confident to say that Manchester City are going to do it. Last year, as you know, I was very confident that City were going to win it. I thought they were better than Real Madrid, which they showed the season before, or it was a couple seasons. Well, they lost in the extra time, 90-plus minute, where Real Madrid beaten them, even though Manchester City were better. So look, if it's not Inter, it's going to be Manchester City against Real Madrid.